This is definitely not something that I ever done before. Insert progress pictures so far. I get so excited for this. So important to have the right protection, if you know what I mean. God damn it. Three more already, I got it. I am just so excited because I'm about to make my Michelin star breakfast. No exaggeration, the minute my eyelid opens, my mouth starts watering thinking about this breakfast. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Yeah, you love to buy my nails. Whenever I get my nails done and I have the acrylics on, he is in his element. I honestly think it's mad how I used to do all these fad diets such as intermittent fasting and not eat until 1 p.m. Like, it's not even 7 a.m. now and I am just so excited to eat, and the realization that it's okay to eat the minute you wake up, you know, that it's not going to make you gain weight or make you fat, and that it's absolutely fine. And to be fair, as a female, it's probably even more beneficial than not having breakfast. Moving away from the diet culture and all these different type of trends and thinking that food groups or the time of the day you have your meals is wrong and bad, and actually eating in a way that supports my health, supports my vitality and energy. Yeah, it just has been amazing. You would have seen me eat this breakfast numerous times. It doesn't really change, but I absolutely love it. And not only I love it for the taste, but it just gives me loads of energy. It digests really well with me, which is massive because digestion is often ignored. I often ignored it, you know, back in the days when all I cared about was the way I look. How I actually feel and how well the food is utilized during the day is massive for like my energy levels, for example. You know, I'm sure you've eaten something in the past and you just felt not full. Like, not that the food really satisfied you, but so bloated. And that used to be me. So choosing meals and foods that really agree with me is super important. Let me know in the comments, what kind of eggs do you enjoy the most? What style of eggs? Because I've been loving buttery scrambled eggs. So I'm on week 7 of my fat loss, and you know, a lot of the times people think that they need to cut out specific foods that are high in calories, such as butter, and then use a non-stick pan, which, look, obviously using a shit ton of oil and butters that don't really give you that much satisfaction isn't going to be too helpful during fat loss. But what I've learned is that all foods can be enjoyed in moderation, and I absolutely love using butter for my eggs. My dad's home, so he goes swimming super early and he's just home, and as you can hear, Eddie's screaming. But yeah, portion control. So instead of completely cutting out the butter, I'm just using small amounts, smaller than I would if I wasn't dieting. Do you want to see how excited Eddie gets when he sees his food? Every morning, every evening, it's as if we were absolutely starving him. But literally, just watch this, just watch this.
Siad, siad, łapkę, daj tę łapkę. Przyjedź do piesku, chodź. Ragę, siad, siad, daj łapkę.
Anyway, we have our breakfast. I get so excited for this. Scrambled eggs, fruit, cinnamon, and I know this probably will be triggering for some people. It's like fruit and eggs together, what? But it's such a great combo. I'm getting my healthy fats, I'm getting my protein, I'm getting my carbs and fiber, and the cinnamon helps with the digestion and the movement of the food, and I'm just about to dig into this. The usual routine is to go for my morning walk, make myself a cup of coffee, and literally just dive into work. So I'm about to do that, but I need to update you because last time we spoken, I said I was starting my fat loss phase, and that was what, like week one? Week one, I'm pretty sure, or perhaps just going on to week 2, and now we're on week 7. I will insert progress pictures so far. We have 2 more weeks to go before I wrap this up because I'm supposed to be leaving the country tomorrow week. Like leaving. Moving away from Ireland with no return ticket, but a plot twist. I will be changing my flights and I'm no longer leaving tomorrow week. But the reason for doing an 8-week fat loss was essentially just to feel a little bit more comfortable heading away, because it is a country with a lot of sun. So I just wanted to feel at my best. And more so when I am in a fat loss, I feel like I get into a good routine of eating in a structured way and not as mindlessly snacking. And because I wasn't able to run anymore, I thought it was a good time as well, because when I was running and prepping for the half marathon, of course I wasn't going to be dieting. Being in a calorie deficit and fueling for performance just don't go hand in hand, and it's not something I was striving for anyway. When the injury hit and I had to move away from running for a little while, I was still hyper training. I was in the gym and I was swimming, but I decided, okay, fair enough, like I'm not training for performance as such anymore. I'm gonna do a short fat loss phase that's like super maintainable and sustainable. My life hasn't really changed. I've traveled to Poland in the meanwhile. I've still been eating pretty much the same thing, just being mindful of portion sizes and those mindless snacks that when I don't really pay too much attention, like they can sometimes creep up. So it has been good. I am happy with how the progress is going so far. Could it be better if I decided to keep track of my weight, count every calorie, be very rigid and restrictive? Like, yes, but that isn't my aim at all. Like, I feel if you do want to squeeze the most out of a fat loss and a deficit, like, yeah, you can do that. I don't really. I just wanted to feel a little bit more, just tidy things up a little bit more, feel a little bit more confident in my body without it negatively impacting my hormones or my lifestyle or the way I live my life in general, and performance, mood and energy, because all those things are actually way more important to me than being shredded or super lean. So while I was committing to it, I was like, I don't want to half-arse it, because sometimes I decide to do it and then I half-arse it and then make excuses for myself that I'm like, but I value this more. This is more important. But there's a point to which you say that if you're already committing to something, you might as well just commit it for a short period of time, do it correctly and just crack on and move on. And kind of that was my aim. But going back to the fact that I was supposed to be leaving the country for good and not really knowing where the trajectory of my life is going to go. But a couple of days ago, I got a proposal with a very exciting business opportunity, something that is a massive stepping stone to where I want to take my career. And I looked into changing my flights online, and that wasn't a possibility. And the thing is, that opportunity is happening the day after I was leaving. I was like, no way, no fucking way. But at the end of the day, I was saying to myself, what am I going to regret more? Having to splash out and buy new flights if the change of flights is not possible, I'm actually still trying to figure out, or forgoing this opportunity and then perhaps just looking back and having a regret that I haven't done it. And I think just where I want to head in my career, that just made more sense to take that up and change my flight. But yeah, I'm really excited for even being considered and getting this proposal. And so yeah, just really flattered and surprised, and I feel like it's just meant to be. Universe is telling me something. It just wasn't supposed to happen that I leave the country yet. I'm gonna finish this coffee and dive straight into work.
This is definitely not something that I ever done before, and I'm so
out of my comfort zone here, but I've recently got this little mic to record videos, and I thought, why not bring you through my glute workout in real time instead of like recording and then putting the workout in the description or doing a voiceover or no voiceover at all. I'm actually just going to talk you through it as I'm training. So like I said, bear with me because I've never ever done this before, but I just want to give it a try. Okay? So let's get into it. The first thing that I always do before starting any workout, whether that's training my glutes, lower body, upper body, I warm up. Dynamic warm-ups, which means that I am moving my muscles through full range of motion, and this is to increase mobility, this is to increase flexibility, and actually mentally get me ready for my workout. What I don't want happening is going from 0 to 100, so being sedentary and then going into lifting weights. So my first part of my warm-up is actually my walk to the gym. That's where I increase my body temperature, and once I get into the gym, I'm already nice and warm. If I wasn't, what I would do is jump on a cardio machine. Treadmill, for example, uphill brisk walk for 5 minutes. And now I dive into my dynamic stretches. As you can see, I'm starting off with hip circles, about 12 to 15 reps on each side. Now I'm moving on to glute bridges, warming up my glutes, as the first exercise that I'm going to be getting into are hip thrusts. All my dynamic movements are done body weight. There's no need to be using any weight for this. I'm just warming up the muscles that I am going to be predominantly working today. Single leg glute bridge. It's proven quite difficult to work out and talk at the same time, and this is only a warm-up, so we're going to see how we're going to get on with this. Another thing is I want to warm up and mobilize my core, as that is always being used in my movements as I just stabilize myself. It's so important to brace properly throughout any compound movements or any movements at all. So my core is always being activated through my main lifts, and this is why I activate and add it into my dynamic warm-up. Lastly, I'm also gonna warm up my hamstrings by doing some body weight, stiff leg, or DLs. Ooh, my hamstrings are actually quite tight today. This is my third workout of the week, by the way. Well, fourth you can say, because Monday I've trained quads and hamstrings, and I'm still feeling my hamstrings from that session. Then on Tuesday, I had back and biceps. Wednesday, which was yesterday, no, it was not, I lied. Wednesday was 2 days ago. I had a 5K run. Oh, and by the way, I am back running. Only short runs, 3 to 5K. I'm really easing myself back in, but yeah, so essentially this is my fourth workout, you can say. So I'm definitely feeling tightness in my hamstrings from that quad and hamstring session on Monday, but also from my run on Wednesday. Right, so I'm gonna repeat that one more time. The same thing that I just done, so in total 2 rounds, and then I'm ready to get into my main workout. On to my first exercise of the workout, which are hip thrusts. If you are not doing hip thrusts, girl, I'm telling you, you're missing out, because they are the absolute queen for growing your glutes. Of course, I am using a barbell pad. This is from my MG official collection. I'm gonna link it below if you wanna check it out, but honestly, a game changer. It's so important to have the right protection, if you know what I mean. It's so important to have the right barbell pad, because it's going to protect your hips from bruising, and it will allow you to perform this exercise pain-free. So I'm gonna pop that on the bar, and you could say this is my third part of a warm-up because I am going into my warm-up sets. So before I dive into my working sets, which is the weight that I normally would be lifting, with hip thrust, it's somewhere between 120 to 160 at the moment, depending on where I am in my cycle, how I'm feeling. And one thing I will say, progress is not linear. Progressive overload, so doing more over time is important, but as you get more intermediate and advanced in your training, you will find that you won't be progressing necessarily every single week. And I think this is something that a mistake that I've made in the past, just being frustrated with not moving up in weight every single week. You know, sometimes I actually go down in weight because my energy is just not there, and that's a-okay. But back to the workout. So we have something called warm-up sets, and this is basically where I build up to my working weight. So right now I have 60 kg. Like I said, my working weight is between 120 and 160. I do not want to start off with 160 in my first set, as I'm just not ready for it, okay? I need to prepare, I need to actually perform the movement and build it up. So we're getting into our first set of our warm-up. Now, the barbell hip thrust is what people often get wrong. I often see it done so incorrectly. So basically, first thing that you want is to use bumper plates. So these are those bigger plates. Even if it's 5 kg, it's okay. But make sure they're the big plates so you can smoothly roll the bar up to your hips. Second thing, you want to make sure that your feet are actually in line. So one isn't out here, the other one is here, in line, okay? Then you want to have stable support, your shoulder blades on the bench, and now you're going to push through your heels and push back on the bench to come up to your top position where your spine and shins form a 90-degree angle. From here, you want your chin to be tucked in, looking straight ahead of you. Slowly lower it down. It doesn't have to be all the way down. And scoop your glutes up. So we're just going to do a couple of reps, like so. Squeezing those glutes at the top. Make sure that the chin is tucked in at all times. Oh, I can feel my glutes burning already. I swear to God, setting up for the hip thrust is tougher than performing the hip thrust in itself. It's literally a full-on workout. I hope you agree. I hope it's not just only me that thinks that, because I swear to God, as you can hear, I am out of breath. So I did about 8 reps for my first warm-up set. Now I increased up to 100 kg. I'm gonna do about 5. Same setup, making sure I take my time before I actually dive into the movement. I was just having a look what I was doing last week, and it was 130 kg for 3 sets by 8. My plan is 4 sets by 8 to 10, but I have noted down that I was really short on time, so I only had 45 minutes to train. And you know, sometimes life happens and you can't do a full workout, but it's never about all or nothing. It's what you can actually manage. So I was really short on time, so I decided to do 1 less set of every exercise and still got the full workout done, but at lower volume. No, sorry, the aim is 6 to 8 reps. My bad, 6 to 8 reps for 4 sets. Okay, ready for set 2. I increased to 140, and once again, the aim is to hit between 6 and 8 reps. Whew. I'm just gonna wait till my heart rate comes down a little. So it's so important when you are lifting heavy that you give yourself enough rest time to be able to perform as well in your set 2, 3, and 4, just as you do in your set 1. Don't rest for 20 seconds and then expect your energy levels to be back to where they were to be able to perform just as well. Don't be afraid to take rest, you know? What I used to do is take, honestly, 20, 30 seconds between exercises and then was so frustrated. Why the hell am I not progressing in my strength? Now, especially with my big compound movements that are at the start of my workouts, I take like at least 90 seconds, if not 2 minutes, 2.5 between them. God, that last rep was a struggle. We're moving on to our second exercise, which is the calf glute bridge. And I'm going to show you the difference between a calf glute bridge and a full hip thrust. Because again, I feel like it's often used interchangeably, but it is not the same thing. And for this exercise, I'm also going to use a resistance band, which I'm going to place just above my knees. And as I'm going to be doing the movement, each rep, I'm going to be aiming to push my knees outwards. Again, this is from my MG official collection, and I'm going to link that down in the description below if you want to check it out. Initially, it's the exact same setup as you would be performing a hip thrust. Feet are aligned, your shoulder blades are just above the edge of the bench, and this is our starting position, 90-degree angle between the spine and your shins. But instead of going fully down, I'm only going down about a quarter and then squeezing my glutes at the top. Oh, they burn like a bitch. So although the movement represents sort of like a pulsing movement, we still want to have it under control. 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps, but I decrease my weight. So I was doing the hip thrust with 140, I'm doing the calves with 100, and I just got 12 reps. 2 more sets to go. We have the cable step-ups, third exercise, or the fourth if you are counting unracking the barbell hip thrust setup. No, I joke. Third exercise. I've been loving the cable step-ups for targeting glutes. Basically, there's a little hack that you want to do when you're doing the step-ups to target your glutes as opposed to your quads, and that is to keep your shin as vertical as possible and slightly lean forward. So, look at this. Leaning forward and keeping that shin as vertical as I can. This means that I am generating as little knee flexion, knee bending as I can, and lengthening out my glute. 3. And the exactly same thing on the opposite side, making sure that most of the movement is generated by the foot that's actually on the box. The one that's behind me is only there for support. Ooh, that burns. Fourth exercise is a sumo dumbbell ordeal. I can't believe that I never properly had these in my program, especially when training glutes, because wow, the engagement that I get on these is insane. Okay, let me show you. With a sumo ordeal, I do it with just one dumbbell. You want to take a stance that's wider than shoulder width apart and your toes pointing outwards to the walls, about 45-degree angle, and the dumbbell in between your feet. You're going to grab the dumbbell on each side. Oh, shit's heavy. From here, you want to think of doing a regular ordeal, essentially pushing your hips back and slightly bending your knees, bringing your chest towards the ground. I also leave a little pause and drive, squeeze my glutes, and repeat. the burn. So as you could see, I bend my knees a little more than I would normally in a Romanian deadlift, and that actually targets my glutes more than my hamstrings. So I am biasing it towards my glutes, you can say. Whew. Okay, that's one set done. I have 2 more, aiming for 12 reps. We're on to our second last exercise, which are cable kickbacks. So I'm gonna strap myself on, LOL. Basically, I'm using these leg straps just above my ankle on both feet. I'm actually gonna use this platform and you'll see why in a second. So hooking myself on, I'm gonna step onto this elevated platform, leaning forward, and now I'm gonna kick back and slowly bring it back. So why am I using an elevation? Because it allows me to keep my legs straight while bringing it right up to the starting point instead of having to bend my knee because of the ground, okay? Aiming for 12 to 15 reps on each side. I'm gonna switch over to the other side.
Yeah, do the bicep curls. Turn out, yeah? And we squeeze the top, okay? And then slowly down through the hands to the bottom. Squeeze the top, right? And slowly.
Kickbacks are an isolation movement for your glutes. What I mean by isolation is that it uses just one muscle group as opposed to a compound exercise like your squats, which use your quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves. This just isolates your glutes, and it's unilateral, so it works on any imbalances that you might have as well, making sure that you're growing those glutes nice and evenly. And finally, we have our last exercise of this workout, which are our machine abductors. So this works, our abductors, or as they also known as side glutes. I want to make sure that my lower back is in full contact with the bench behind me so that there is no space there. I'm holding onto the handlebars on the side for support. Slow and controlled. I'm doing 15 to 20 reps. Okay, they really burn. And you know what? When I'm doing this exercise, although I've never given birth, it sort of feels like the position as if I was giving birth. Right, 2 sets of that and then we're done. God. Okay, 3 more right here. I got it. 18, 19, 20. Gosh. My God, I am dead. DED. This is under 1 hour though, so I'm happy. 54 minutes.